and welcome to Nat 1. Sorry we are so late, it is my fault. But we are here, and we are ready to embark on completing this combat which started. So a little bit of a recap as to what happened last session. We were chilling at Flopsy's parents' house, no less. Hey, I'm going to say no less for every single recap I ever do at this point. We were chilling at Flopsy's parents, getting to know them, getting to know the kids, Hopsy, Wopsy and Bopsy. We were playing a nice game of hide and seek, having a grand old time, having some food, dinner, tea and biscuits, getting to know Topsy the dad and Mopsy the mum, and all that. There was a little bit of tension in the air when the thought of staying behind arose, due to Flopsy's mum sort of saying that she's so glad to have him back. However, the party have got the promise of a curse put on them in 8 days if they do not retrieve Scabbeth the Nightshade's portrait from Loom Lurch in Thither and bring it to Bavlorna Blightstraw in Downfall in Hither before 8 days are up. They have no idea what the curse will do to them, but let's just say it's not going to be very good. Now, they got offered to stay over. This is the first night, so that's night 1 of the countdown for the curse. And as they were all the kids and the parents went to bed and everything, they stayed up for a little chat, and Archie spotted through the window a couple of redcaps peeping in. Archie knows that redcaps are created when Scabbetha is very angry, and revealed that to the group. 3 redcaps make their way into the Lepus Burrow at night. And currently, we don't have a map for that, but I'll just say where everybody is. Excuse me, I've still got a cough. 3 redcaps have entered through the main door, which to the cottage, which is like a facade for a giant hole in the ground. The giant hole in the ground is a long corridor leading down which splits into 3 directions. The middle is the living room area, the left is the toilet area, and the right is all the bedrooms. Flopsy has gone down the right corridor to protect the bedrooms. Holland is sort of at the junction. Archie and Clapperclaw are a little bit ahead, as these redcaps are currently going down the main corridor. 2 of the redcaps have been trapped in a stinking cloud, and that stinking cloud I could possibly represent on the screen. Let's have a look here. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to pop this random... Oh god, that's too big. Just pop this random character here, around about the same size. Put an aura on it because it's a 20-foot radius, is it? For the stinking cloud.
I will say yes, and then when roll 20, it's a 20-foot radius, yes.
Oh, jeez Louise, that's 20
roll
miles.
20, finally loaded.
I don't know why it's 20 miles, but I can't do radius right now because it's not correct for the map. The map is sized differently. So we're just doing it by eye. So essentially, they were caught in... Basically, if you go beyond this red cap here, you will also be caught in the stinking cloud, which is still active for another 9 rounds. Starting from... This is the 9th round. So, Flopsy has had his turn, which was to move down into the corridor to protect the doorways to the bedrooms. Now, at the end of that corridor, you have the parents' bedroom door, within which the 2 girls are sleeping with the parents, in order to give the 2 bunk beds to the party. But Bopsy is in his own room, which at the end of the corridor is on the left, directly next to the parents' bedroom door. So, Flopsy is situated at the end of that corridor, which is about 30 feet away from Holland, who's at the junction, who's about 5 feet behind Archie and Clapperclaw. Does that make sense?
It does to me.
Excellent news. Right, okay, so that was Flopsy's turn. What did you do on your turn last? If you can recall, I think you just moved there, didn't you?
I moved there, I gave Holland a cupcake of Bardic Inspiration, that's a D8 to be used within the next 10 minutes. I stared a hole into the back of Holland's head as I concentrated really hard on hoping that Holland could save my family.
Alright, okay. and you also did hear a voice coming from one of the bedrooms asking what's going on. It doesn't seem to have been followed up by a parental voice, so you believe it's probably Flopsy in the room to your right, our left if we were looking down it. Okay, I'm just gonna put this little thing on these two to show that they are in the radius of the stinking cloud. And up next we have, okay, let me just get this clear. Boopity bap bap boop. Up next we have Clapperclaw himself coming in. Now, Clapperclaw, not very strong, but did just bop one on the head before in the last round, and actually took him out thanks to a lot of damage taken from Archie. He's feeling confident. He's going to go up to this red cap just outside of the radius of the cloud, and he's going to reach his little arm in there and try to attack him with his big old clapping claw. That's an 11 to hit, and that is not going to hit this red cap. He only has one hit, so let's just... excuse me. Yes, he only has one hit, unfortunately, for Clapperclaw. Now, up next, it is Holland.
Hello.
Hello, Holland.
Holland is going to munch and crunch on that cupcake that Flopsy gave him.
Munchins and crunchins.
As he sidles on over to stand shoulder to shoulder with Clapperclaw. And he's going to swing his mace around and try and bonk him. Not Clapperclaw, but the guy.
Right.
And on my last turn, I cast Thunderous Smite as my bonus action, so that's going to play now, if I hit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I'll roll that.
Oh, that is not going to hit.
Was it a D8? Did you say?
Yes, it's a D8 for your Bardic Inspiration.
It is indeed.
Ooh. 15?
Oh, now that's going to change
16.
everything.
16.
Yes, that will change everything. That is going to hit now, thanks to your Bardic Inspiration from Flopsy.
Thanks, Flopsy. And so it's 8 bludgeoning, and then I get an extra 2d6 thunder damage.
Hey.
He also has to make a strength saving throw, or he will be pushed 10 feet away from me and knocked prone.
Coming right up. That's a 10, and that's going to fail. So he's going to get pushed 10 feet away from you, provoking an attack of opportunity from you and Clapperclaw, as well as...
No, because he didn't willingly move.
Pardon?
He didn't willingly move.
Oh, he didn't... Oh, yeah, of course. Yep. Sorry, excuse me.
Sorry to be
Let's have a look. Push back, attack. I'm just going to make sure. No. Okay, thank you, Peach. Alright. So that's the wild magic done.
So it was 11 thunder.
11 thunder altogether. Nice. Alright, okay. You see his little angry little red face like yeah as you push him back. And this is that thunder damage?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like crackles and booms all around him, like sort of like lighting up grain, like white sort of lightning inside his little white beard, like as he gets pushed back. He is not happy with you. He like looks down with a like a Kubrick stare, and his eyes just glow red. He's looking right at you, Holland. All right, and it is the one at the back's turn. He's going to make a save for the stinking cloud. What's that save again? I'm scrolling all the way up here. Where's the stinking cloud?
15 Constitution save.
15 con. Right, okay, here we go. Okay, con save, here we go. Oh, that's a 14. He's going to fail, and therefore he's going to lose his turn this round, as he coughs just as bad as I'm doing right now. And wastes his turn. Archie, it's you.
Okay, so Archie can say that Holland and Clapperclaw basically have that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So she's going to deal with the poor guy. Is he prone?
They are, let me see. Sinking Cloud, fail save, spend that action. No, they just waste their action.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So, well, I'm going to try and shot.
He can spend his action, but he can still move.
Oh.
Well, he spends his action retching and reeling. He's actually going to move right up to Holland. As he sort of like pushes his way through the sinking cloud, retching and reeling. Sorry, yeah, there we go. Yep, so that's that.
Well, I can see this fool approaching Holland. I'm gonna sort of move, like, over here. Sort of curve around him, get a better shot, so that he's not right behind Holland. And I'm gonna try and sharpshoot him.
Nice.
And it doesn't hit. Probably not.
Absolutely not.
Okay. But I'm gonna try and do that a second time.
Wait.
Natural.
Hey!
Wait, hey, nice. All right, we're gonna take the rolls that it does because I do crits different. I do crits as they are rolled. So can you add all that up for me? Because geez Louise, that's a lot of damage.
Let's see. So that's the 31.
Jeez Louise. Alright, so we're gonna go take 18, take 8. 2. Oh wow, yeah, you just loose your bow and it just like flies straight through, like doof, hits him straight in the neck, and he's like bleeding out of his neck everywhere. He like you see him like clutch his head in pain as his psychic damage just sears through his mind, and he's like holding his head, screaming out loud. And at that scream, Flopsy, you hear the door creak open and a little bunny nose pops out. He looks directly into your eyes. It's Bopsy looking at you. He has this face of pure nightmarish terror. He's about to sort of turn his head down the hallway, but not before this red cap here is going to make a constitution save to see if it can withstand the cloud. He gets a 17 and he does. He sees his comrade with the arrow in his neck, and he's going to charge towards Archie. And he has 3. He brings out, as he's charging, you see him in like sort of reach towards his belt and bring up this huge sickle. And it's gleaming with the most sharp sort of metal you've ever seen. As he comes over and he's going to make 3 sickle attacks against you. Is that
AC 16.
16, okay. Where is this bloody sickle? Wicked sickle. The first one's an 18. That's 12 slashing damage for that one. The second is a 20, 6 slashing damge.
Dirty or natural?
That's dirty. And the third is a 24, which is also dirty. So you can imagine how high the...
Fuck it, silvery barbs on the last one. Flopsy's going to shout out no.
Right, on the 24.
I don't want to waste my spell slots because that's like 3 attacks, but you can't have all 3 of them.
Alright, okay. So on the final one, which was a 6, that will not be there. So altogether, that is 18 slashing damage towards you, Archie.
Nice.
And... yeah, he's just like tearing at your sort of clothes as he like slashes it across your chest and arms. He's trying to like hook your Zephyr, but he's not succeeding in doing that yet. Let's have a look here. Yeah, you get the impression that he's going to try and disarm you on his next turn. Okay, Flopsy, you see Bopsy's scared little face as he peeps through this door. His head's just about to turn down the corridor as you've shouted, no! Who are you giving the the advantage to, by the way, with silvery barbs?
Advantage to Holland.
Uh-huh.
No. And I'm within 60 feet of Archie, right?
Oh, sorry, I didn't roll the disadvantage for his silvery barbs. Just let me do that really quickly. I just cancelled it for some reason. Because it might still hit, so I'm just going to roll that now. It still hit for a 10. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. But you still get to give advantage to someone, so let's go into Holland.
Holland, yep.
Right.
I'm going to look at Archie and say, "You're doing so well. Protect us," and throw another Bardic Inspiration at you because I have them to spare. So that's advantage to one, Bardic Inspiration to the other. Then I'm going to turn my attention to Bopsy, who I would have silvery barbs earlier on the last round, by the way, but I was actually concerned for Bopsy. That's why I was taken out of it.
Well, when you say that, Bopsy says, "Save us from what?"
It's okay, nothing. It's all going to be fine. I'm going to try and push Bopsy back into the room and go in there myself. Like, so he can't get past me.
I'm just going to make a roll real quickly. Oops, excuse me, that's rolled. Okay, as soon as you like sort of put your hand on his shoulder and sort of push him through the door, your parents' door opens too, and your dad's there looking at you. He looks at you, he looks at your hand on Bopsy, he looks down the corridor at Archie who's getting slashed up by this red cap, and his eyes widen, and he says, bring him in here, and he opens his door wide. As soon as he opens the door wide, you see that the mum sort of sat on the bed holding the two girls. Bopsy sort of like is standing there frozen.
Can I use my movement to move Bopsy to the room, but guide him in a way where I'm always between him and the corridor, so he can't see behind me?
Yeah, absolutely. But you will have to try and avoid him from like actually looking. I'd say make a DC 10. Sort of, it's kind of a bit like boisterous, so I'm gonna say like I'm gonna say a stealth check, a DC 10. Just so that you're big enough so they can't actually peek through any of your like arms or anything, you know. Oh, nice, yeah. You successfully shield him from what's going on here, and you push him through the door. Your dad sort of looks at you and he's like sort of waiting to see if you're gonna come in to the room or not.
Close the door.
What, with him in it?
With him in it, I'm still in the corridor.
Alright, okay. As you close it, he gives you this sort of lasting look. His sort of his little muzzly mouth sort of drops a little bit as his eyes sort of widen and as he understands what's happening here. But he gives you a nod as you close the door. He's not built for this sort of shit at all. He understands that if anyone's going to help here, it's probably you guys.
When the door is closed, Flopsy has the same look on his face because he's not made for this either.
Aww.
Okay. Is that everything you want to do on your turn?
Yeah, I'm going to keep my concentration on the stinking cloud, so I can't really do anything spell-wise for now, so that's end of my turn.
Okay. It's Clapperclaw. Clapperclaw, standing next to Holland. He just gives Holland like this little weak smile as though he's like going to try his best, but he's going to walk straight into the, to get like an angle on this guy, he has to walk straight into the fucking stinking cloud to do so.
Walks into those farts.
He's walking into the farts. He's going to make the con save. Nat 20! Yes! Yay! He gets in there. He gets in there, and he's going to. He's actually going to open his huge mouth, which is quite scary. He's got an unsettling presence about him, and we've done this before, so where he makes them frightened. To this one here. Targets one creature exceeding within 15 feet of it, which is this guy. He's just gonna like sort of jump out with his arms in the air like nah, and he will make a wisdom save. That's a 20. The red cap just slaps him round the jaw, and his head sort of swivels around in a circle. And at that, he's just going to try and claw him. 23 to hit. Yes, Clapperclaw. Let's go. Slaps him for a 9.
What's up, my guy?
Let's go. Yeah, he is, as the guy sort of slaps him around the head, he just slaps him back like fucking Lion King, like Simba and fucking Scar at the end, like slow-mo slapping each other around the face. There's like sparks fly in the background of the stinky cloud. Holland, it's you.
Whoa. Holland's gonna bring his mace cracking upwards against this gnome with advantage, thanks to our darling Flopsy.
Yeah.
Nice.
For an 18.
Oh yes. Alright, okay. That's exactly the amount of damage that you need. How do you want to do this?
He's gonna, in like the exact same way that they slapped each other, he's just gonna bring his like entire mace across this guy's face, and he just goes flying.
Flying all the way down the corridor. Yes, lands on this already dead one's body with an oof.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes.
And then I'd like to use the sort of the momentum of that to like turn to the one that's attempting to disarm Archie.
Mm-hmm.
And use that sort of threatening aura that he's created from that to try and cast Compel Duel as my bonus action, which is a wisdom save from the guy.
Alright, let's go. Wisdom save coming right up. That's a 14.
Ooh.
What does that do?
I don't know what the DC is.
Your DC...
it fails. My DC's a 15.
Way! Fails by 1. Let's go.
Hey. So it has disadvantage on attack rolls against anyone other than me. and has to make a wisdom saving throw every time it attempts to move to a space that is more than 30 feet away from me.
Alright, I'm going to put the snail on it for the disadvantage. Anyone again except you, is that right?
Yes.
And what was the second bit?
If it tries to move any further than 30 feet from me, it has to do a wisdom save.
Oh, nice. Right, okay. Right, okay, nice. Alright. Archie, it's you. You do have Zephyr equipped, so you've got a long range in your hand right now. You're probably not going to be able to hit this guy this close. It's literally close range.
Well, I mean, you hold a bow in your offhand, but it doesn't matter because I cast a Zephyr Strike. I just sort of like look at him and I said, "This ends here." Oh no, wait, over here. I say, running like down the corridor 60 feet.
All right, are you going to provoke that attack of opportunity from him?
Nope, because that's
not
part
with
of
Zephyr
spell.
Strike.
That's Zephyr Strike, yes, of course, excuse me. Oh, the Campestry's just stood there like, me.
And I'm going to try and sharpshoot him. 22
Oh, yes.
deals 24 damage, and then there's an
Nice.
additional d8. Do I need to roll that d8?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Well, let's whip out that d8 of damage.
This guy looks incredibly unharmed.
3.
Uh-huh.
But it's... And then I've got another attack. 17.
Yes, that hits. But you still don't kill him.
Wow.
Oh, you've literally, as you've left his position, he is like trying to charge towards you. As he's like running towards you, you're like hitting him in the shoulder, then you hit him in the other shoulder, and he's like, ugh, as he comes towards you. And you can see that he's getting extremely weak, like he's extremely bloodied, TM, as he's sort of charging up to you, which is where he's going. Let's have a look at it. Yep, so he's in the centre of this area. As he charges forth, he's actually going to go off course as he sees Flopsy down the corridor, sees him as an easy target, and he's going to travel towards him. Seeing you as a huge threat, he's going to lunge towards Flopsy.
Is that more than 30 feet?
Yes, and he can't make it all the way there because he can only get up to 25 feet. So that's where he gets, and you've moved back up into... If you're moving back up that far away, actually, you've gone into the living room. He's not in your range right now, but you could get to his range at some point. But...
Wait, what?
No, wait, hang on. The corridor's 30 feet long. If Flopsy's standing in the end of that corridor, then 25 feet makes it up to Flopsy. If he's in that if he's in that remainder 5-foot square, this red cap can make it. Because they were fighting in the crossroads of it. He can literally move his entire movement all the way up to Flopsy right now.
But he'll still have disadvantage.
He still has disadvantage. He takes out his sickle. He lifts it up, and you can see this murderous glare in his eyes. And he doesn't even know. It's like he doesn't even care who he's hitting. He is just fucking flying around at things. First hit is an 18 to hit.
Did he already have disadvantage?
Oh, excuse me, 8 to hit. That's a fail. Second one, 8
That's
to
a
hit
fail.
again. That's a fail. Third one, 15 to hit. That's the disadvantage. What's your AC?
So I can't do silvery barbs or anything because it was already at disadvantage. My AC's 14. I'm getting hit.
Yep, you're getting hit with 12 slashing damage.
Okay.
Okay. And yep, because he was out of the sinking cloud. I should have taken that off because he approached Archie.
Flopsy will brace himself to try and make as little noise as possible so they can't hear him being hit through the doorway.
Oh, roll stealth. DC 12 because there's a door in the way.
14.
Nice. You brace yourself. You make this tiny whimper, and yeah, you're holding your own here. It's you.
Well, the stinking clouds are doing absolutely nothing right now. How healthy does this guy look?
He looks incredibly weak.
Right.
Like he looks like you could kick him in the head and he'd go down.
You can non-lethally attack if you declare it to be non-lethal.
I can, but I could also just burn a second level spell slot for the fun shits and gigs. Flopsy is going to grin through the hit, and then as he opens his eyes again and looks at the whatever they're called,
The red cap.
he's going to lift. Yeah, he's going to lift his hand out of his pocket with some You know, like when you would dust a cupcake with glittery sprinkles?
Yes.
And he's just gonna blow that into the guy's face.
Nice.
For blindness.
Alright.
He needs to make a con save. DC 15.
Alright. Save. Con? That's a 19. That's gonna succeed. Oh, no.
But Flopsy really wants it to work, so he's gonna silvery barbs that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
With the blow.
Uh-huh. So we'll roll that again.
Because that's my reaction, so I can still do that.
It's a nat 1.
He's blind for a minute.
Nice. Right, okay. So if he's blinded, he will automatically fail any ability check that requires sight. And attack rolls against him have advantage.
Mm-hmm. I could probably walk away from him without an opportunity attack because he can't see me, but there's no way that Flopsy's going to move away from that door.
You are kind of in the middle of him and the door right now. He is literally
Flopsy's
up
gonna
against
stay right
you.
there.
Yeah. Clapperclaw, he's actually up the corridor a little bit because he went to get this guy. Clapperclaw's speed is... let's have a look here. Scooby-Doo-Bap-Bap. 25 feet. He's actually going to be... He's 10 feet short of being able to get to this guy. I know it looks weird because it's not right, but I can see it in my mind. I've drawn a little map on my notebook. He's like gone up into the longer corridor that leads out of the house to be able to hit that other guy where the stinky cloud was. That's 10 feet away from being able to get up to this red cap at all. So he's kind of pointless right now. If I were to make it a little bit more accurate, you guys would be about here. Archie is where you are. Clapperclaw and Holland are where they are. Yeah, that's a roundabout correct.
And the campus is just dancing somewhere.
Campustry's shitting itself. Campustry just sort of like bounds over to Archie and it like holds onto her ankle. Clapperclaw like turns round and he's like, well, come on, Holland, let's go get him. And he's just gonna run around the corridor. He's only gonna make it to about here. And he's like lifting his claws as he runs. But Holland, it's you.
Well, you know exactly where I'm going.
Wait.
Yeah, I'm coming bounding after Clapperclaw. Can I make it? Because I was a bit closer, I wasn't in the cloud?
You've got your full 30 feet, so you can. You were 5 feet behind anyway, which covers that, and then you've got the extra 5 feet of movement, which covers the full 10 feet anyway. So yeah, you can make the full 30.
In that case, Holland's going to come bounding round the corner.
Whee.
He's going to kick off the wall and bring Happy Days crashing down on this thing's head, hopefully.
Nice. You've got advantage, thanks to the blindness. He has no idea where you're even coming from.
And also because you flank him.
You are, yeah.
Hey.
Let's go.
And I don't know if I have to say it before, so I'm going to say it now just in case. While he's in the air, as he brings it down, he's not thinking about any other reality except for him smacking this down on this thing's head, and he's going to use his Divine Smite, which is just extra damage.
Nice.
So I'll say that now just in case, get it locked in. 14?
14 is meets it beats. How do you want to do this?
Oy!
You can use your Divine Smite if you want. You don't have to, because you've not rolled it in the damage. You don't actually have to use it because you're gonna get him anyway. So you can flavour this however you want. How do you want to do this?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I will use it just for the hell of it, you know. As he comes swinging down, he hits, and it looks like he's just sort of glanced up with it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as the thing turns away, like looking towards the shadow, there's just somehow no shadow cast upon its face. It's all warm colours dancing on it, and as they dance, it sort of is almost burning his skin off.
Wow!
Exactly where Holland struck him.
Wow! Oh, that's
as though it was the divine light of Lyra.
Oh wow, that is beautiful.
He got smoked.
He drops dead down in front of you. you sort of stood there, sort of breathing, looking at Flopsy. Archie comes up
Flopsy
behind
immediately leans over the dead body and hugs Holland.
you.
Are you okay?
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm fine. Barely even a scratch. I'm gonna pull away from Holland and go and hug Archie straight away.
Archie's sort of like, well, right next to you. She's sort of crouched down to sort of pick up the body. But when she sees you going in for a hug, she just like pulls you in. I'm glad you're all right, Flopsy, and you too, Holland.
I'm glad you're okay too. I saw you get hit a little bit. Do you need anything? Is everyone okay?
Oh, a little scratch like that couldn't hurt me. Although if you do have any healing,
Sure. I'm sure I've got some sort of salve or cream or something somewhere. Flopsy reaches around and is gonna cure wounds on Archie, which I will just roll.
now
You can only have a level 1.
it's fine. We're going to sleep later anyway, aren't we?
I know, yeah, it's just for thing. He's gonna like grab your hand and rub it between his paws.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, and after the hug, Archie turns to Holland and Flopsy and says, Holland, I need a big boy like you to help me get these red caps out of here. Flopsy, you're gonna have to get a bucket and mop and clean up this blood. We can't leave this house like this.
Archie, roll a stealth, because you've got to be whispering this. Like, there's a door right next to you. Like, you're in the corridor of the bedrooms right now. If you're talking about blood and stuff, then
24.
Alright, excellent.
Nice.
Yeah. Flopsy, when you turn your sort of ear and head to the door looks incredibly silent. You can almost hear that your parents are sort of like keeping the kids like safe. You know what I mean? Like, you can sense that feeling of like hushed tones and like, oh no, do be careful, it's okay, don't worry about this, you know, that kind of muffle coming from the door. So they haven't heard anything.
While they deal with the bodies, I'm going to try and sneak into the door. I say sneak just because I want to make it so that they can't see the body that's outside the door. I want to just kind of creak it open, slip in, and close it.
Right.
Do I need a stealth for that?
Well, first of all, we'll do Archie taking the body out.
Yeah.
To do this...
So,
yeah, go on. How do you want to
me.
do... Oh, Holland,
Well,
yeah.
Can
You grab a leg each.
Well, me and Clapperclaw can do it. I think Archie's got something. I don't know.
Oh, no, I was saying
yeah.
to carry it with you.
Oh, I see.
You're all taking part in disposing of the bodies except Flopsy.
Yeah.
Right.
The first thing
in that
Archie's
case-
going to do
Yeah.
is actually she's going to take her invisibility cloak off and put it on over the red cap and be like, Holland, remember where it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wait.
just pick it up
Yeah.
so I don't lose it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm trying to cover the body with the invisibility so they can't see the body.
Yeah, and Holland's gonna lift the body when it is invisible in the cloak.
Right, I get you.
Yeah.
I thought you meant you lift the cloak up.
No. Holland's lifting the
Right.
body.
Just take this book back off.
These are quite heavy, stout gnomes. So roll an athletics to lift him up over like a fireman's lift. DC, I'm going to say a 12 for this because you're quite tall and strong.
P.
Nice.
22.
You easily lift him up, and as you do, sort of Clapperclaw's like a little bit like sort of he's almost loses himself in that. They're trying to be quiet. So he like claps his little claws together, and he's just like, he's like, oh my god, and he's like, oh sorry. He's like, wow, you're all real heroes, aren't you? He looks a bit like aghast with this sort of like mission that's happening, the sort of like disposing of bodies thing. But he mans out of the way to sort of let you carry through the hallway. And as you do, with the wounds from Archie's crossbow, longbow, you see this just blood's just like pouring out, like trickling along the floorboards of Flopsy's parents' corridor. And where are you taking it?
I think for now, just gather them outside of the what's the word? Rabbit den.
Yeah.
Good idea, Holland.
Warren. Yeah.
Yeah.
What Sorry.
like in the just in the not outside, but in the upstairs. You know, the hollow house.
Yes, the hollow house. Yes.
I'd say just gather them there for now.
Well, Holland,
Oh, sorry.
if you collect those bodies and Flopsy reassures his parents, I'll just like clean up the mess. And Archie's gonna get on the floors and start scrubbing.
Okay.
Okay, Clapperclaw, get the door for me.
Okay, I'll do anything that you want me to do. I want to be helpful too. Did you see me take down that guy?
No.
Yeah. Speaking of heroes, you just clean knocked him down.
Wow. I never thought I could do something like that. I usually just run away because there's never any heroes with me.
He's gonna walk up the sort of like you sort of carry this guy up the slope up to the opening of the hall. The two redcaps that have sort of like run away and fell on top of each other and died are right next to the door. As the door is like slightly open as well. In the night air, you hear this sudden scream, and this sort of panicked voice of like no, coming from outside.
Clapperclaw, get Archie, and Holland's gonna run towards the sound.
Okay. Clapperclaw comes down and he goes to Archie. He just says,
Archie, I think there's something wrong happening. Or maybe something wrong's already happened. I don't know. We need your help.
I hand Clapperclaw a scrubbing brush and I say, "Okay, you need to clean up that mess. I'm gonna clean up whatever mess this is."
Okay, whatever you say.
And he's gonna start like scrubbing furiously, but his head's tilted like up the actual sort of corridor to see what you guys are up to. I'm just gonna quickly go to Flopsy, and then we'll get to you guys. Flopsy, you enter the room. Your mum is sat like with her back against the bed, the bed's head. The two girls under each arm. Bopsy's sort of standing up on the floor, like he's like got his arms around your father's legs, and he's shivering with fear. And Topsy's sort of trying to like stroke his head and calm him down. But Topsy is also still like a plank as well. Like he can't lay down in bed. He can't like sit down or anything. He's almost like he's been pacing, but he can't pace because he's got to stay still to look after Bopsy. And Topsy is the only one who saw what came into the house. But they all know that something did, and that's the vibe.
Flopsy's gonna come in. Smile and say, "Everything's taken care of. Everything's just fine now out there. We just had some unwanted visitors. Told them that there's no cupcakes at the minute. We're all out of baked goods. They'll have to come to the store tomorrow to get some."
Bopsy is looking terrified. Roll a persuasion check in general for all of them. I do think that you should actually roll a deception because you are...
Okay.
Yeah, even though it's a wholesome thing that you're trying to settle their minds, it is a lie.
I am not gonna... Obviously, Topsy has seen it, and Mopsy is old enough to know different, so I'm not actively trying to deceive the parents. It's mainly for the kids.
Okay,
That's an 11.
The kids are going to make individual sort of responses, and all they have is a d20 for their perception. So this is Wopsy. Wopsy believes you. Hopsy believes you, and now it's for Bopsy. Bopsy.
Oh no, of course it's a
Silvery barbs.
Silvery barbs, okay. We'll roll again.
I can't believe I'm using that against a family member, but...
He still succeeds.
He meets, it beats.
Yeah.
Well done. Oh, it doesn't even meet. My fucking roll was bad.
He's shivering, more so. The two girls sort of, like, relax a little bit in the mum's arms, and the mum's like, now, everything's alright. Your brother, he's sorted everything out. It's all okay now. But, like, as Bopsy's sort of holding his dad's, like, sort of coattails and, he's got pyjamas on, holding his little pyjama tails, he's, like, looking his side eye over to you with this look of recognition of, like, all of a sudden, there's this recognition in your own mind that Bopsy, like, grew up a little bit that day. Like, he understands that something's not right and that you are lying. He doesn't say anything, though. He just holds on to his dad.
I'm gonna go up to Bopsy and get down to his level.
You hear his breathing is so like rattly as you do. It's like he's not scared of you.
Flopsy,
but,
you
Yeah.
were always a blighter when we were young. You know what? So was I.
What does that mean?
Have found a way to. Well, you know. There's different kinds of strength that people find in different times in their life, and well, you were always quite strong at trying to get better than I was. You know what? You beat me quite a few times. And the strength that you have now to be the best and always have the right thing to say, well, I'm proof that comes in handy later.
He unlatches from his dad's legs and he puts his arms around your neck and he whispers in your ear and he says,
"Why are you lying to us?"
And he whispers it so quietly that you just feel his little tiny breath in your ear, like tickle the hairs inside your ear.
There's just no sense in worrying about things that can't hurt you anymore.
Are you sure?
Whenever there's a chance to focus on the good, that's the best thing to do. So, nothing out there can hurt you, and that's the only thing that you need to focus on right now.
Roll a persuasion.
It's an 18.
You feel his arms sort of tighten around your neck, and his shoulders relax into you. And he whispers,
"I know you saved us with your friends. Thank you. You can be the older one."
and he's just like squeezing you so tight. Meanwhile, Archie and Holland, you sort of like very, very professionally exit this door out into the night air. The night air hits you. It's
No,
very...
I was like running.
Oh yeah,
That's why I said go back. Holland just took off towards the noise.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So you've belted out the door first. Archie, you've sprinted to keep up. Holland, you are first out of this door, out into the crisp night air. It's very clear. The stars are in the sky, and the moonlight shining down upon the body of a Harengon in a blue velvet jacket. Its own top hat sort of scattered off to the side. Blood seeping out of an open wound in his chest as he is sort of like his head's tilted to the side and his eyes are wide open, his mouth slightly open a little. You can see his teeth as his mouth sort of hangs agape. And you see nearby is a female Harengon in sort of nightgown, sort of like feeling all through his body, trying to squeeze his face, pulling his ears and frantically trying to check his body. If you stop to look for a second, Archie can catch up to you. Are you going to stop to in awe, or are you going to like run straight over?
Yeah, I'll stop to. I'll stop to ask the things that did this. Did you see where they went? That was not his voice.
Do you want to do that again?
Things that did this. Did you see where they went?
Holland grew.
Holland and looked. Yeah.
Holland grew that day too.
Oh. The things that did this. Did you see which way they went?
She looks up at you and her mouth is just open. Her eyes are like scattered, like looking over your face, and she's like, no. Is there anything you can do? She has no idea. She's just found him. You can tell this immediately.
Holland will like crouch down immediately and sort of cup his face and try and use lay on hands.
Mm-hmm.
Which is 15 hit points.
You place your hands on his chest, and as you do, you see that his nice waistcoat, you see that he's probably been working late. You see that his nice waistcoat has the exact same scythe markings across it that Archie does, and when you touch his body, you see that those wounds sort of come apart a little, and you can see you can see organs inside. He's already dead. Lay on hands is not going to do anything here.
I'm sorry. I can't.
The lady sort of like crouches nearby and she's staring directly at your hands and then looking back up at your face, like between your hands and face, just as if she believes that this is going to work.
It's too late. If I had got it sooner, I could have maybe. I'm sorry.
What do you mean? You can fix him, right? You can give him a potion or something. I know you guys have stuff like that. I've seen adventurers before. You know, they can do this sort of stuff.
I can only do it if his soul is still there.
Her eyes just immediately slant into this like despondent face of absolute sadness, and she looks down at his face again, which is absolutely still, almost like his fur and skin over his skull it is all there is, nothing more. His eyes are glassy and solid, no moisture there whatsoever. It's everything's gone from him. Archie, as you sort of run up, you sort of meet sort of everyone in that little sort of area on the cobbled just stone floor. You recognise straight away this is Jack Lopp, who works with Topsy.
What, do I know him?
You met him at the market. He was running the
right.
stall.
He gave out carrots, didn't he? Yeah, Archie just sort of runs up, and as she sort of approaches, she slows down, and she sort of sees what's going on. She sees the crying Harengon. She sees Holland struggling, and you see, if you were to look at her, you can see bubbles sort of forming in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay?
Who are you saying that to?
Just
everyone.
Just out loud.
Okay. You see her eyes are just welling up with tears. It's almost as though her mouth's like sort of just opening and closing. She has like nothing in her at all. Like, you can tell quite clearly that she loves him. Like, this is someone who she is deeply, deeply been in love with. As she sort of places her hand on his cheek and strokes his fur and his whiskers, and she lowers her head to his face and nuzzles her little nose against him. There's this deep, deep breath as she lets it all out into his shoulder, completely like engulfing him in her body. She puts her arm under his neck and lifts it up and holds him close. Takes another deep breath and just wails. Just lets this huge cry out. You see a couple of like flickering candles in the distance within one of the house facades. A door opens and another, and you see a couple of Harengon peeking out of their homes as you stand. You can interrupt at any time.
Yeah, I turn to her, and I'm sort of like, my hands are in my pockets, I don't know what to do with them, and I feel something, and I sort of turn to her and I say, "There's nothing we can do to bring him back, but maybe you can say goodbye to him." And I bring up the ghost key.
Alright.
And sort of hand it over to her. If you look through the eyepiece, you can see him again. And I think he can hear you.
She
And
takes
Yeah.
she takes the ghost key. Not quite sure sort of like what's going on at all. Like you can see that she's absolutely distraught. And as she is sort of taking it into your hand, you see like as if the camera is focused on you passing it into her paw. Underneath her hand, the sort of faded image of Jack begins to decay at an accelerated rate. His skin sort of like moulding away, and like, as though invisible maggots are eating at it, leaving behind the sort of bones of him. His chest depresses, and his clothes sort of flatten in, and as sort of like his body turns to sort of dust around, like the skin falls off away from the skeletal hands. And she's looking at the key itself, not necessarily his body decaying at an accelerated rate, and takes it into her hand and raises the eyepiece. And she says, Oh, Jack. You can't hear anything or see anything because you're not looking through the ghost key. But she starts to sort of whisper things, such as, what am I going to do without you? And all these other things you think you might want to leave her to have this little moment with the ghosts of Jack Lot.
Yeah,
and
I
she
just sort
can't
of
hear the actual conversation.
Well, yeah, and take a few steps back and I sort of like do a sort of like upwards head nod to Holland, like just take a few steps back.
And
Yeah, Holland's been sort of, when Archie took charge, Holland sort of turned away, like sort of was facing away anyway, as if he like couldn't bear to look at his failure anymore.
You okay, Holland?
Do you think there's more?
I don't. Archie sort of looks around. She sort of scans the sort of area. And I make a perception check.
Yeah.
18.
As you sort of stand there with Holland's innocent face asking you this question, you look around and some of the Harengon have come out. Some of them are pushing their own kids back into the house, but still quite curious as to what's going on. And in the centre of it all, you see this woman stand up. You see her reach out in front of her whilst holding this key to her eye. She reaches out with one hand and she's trying to stroke something in front of her that you can't see. The rest
she
of
knows that feeling.
Yeah, the rest of the Harengon all look extremely concerned. They are looking at you as a sort of, in a questioning sense. They also extremely terrified and are also looking around the area. It's extremely deathly quiet. You can't hear any disturbances, you can't see anything rustle in the bushes. You feel like this is the end of the danger. And this is it.
Actually sort of like looks around. Everybody go back inside. You're safe now.
Ooh, we don't need a happy thing. There we go.
No, right.
Sorry, babe.
Kind of an intro.
Got over it quick.
Yeah, no, right, yeah.
That's what she
That's
said.
what I get. That's what I get from.
Oh, thank God.
That's what I get for putting the full Moonlight Sonata in. They are concerned, but they see your authority on this matter. Some of them nod sagely at you. Others sort of linger around. You see that these are probably ones that are more interested in, like, sort of gossip, but they linger within their own windows. You hear the bolts of several doors in a place that usually wouldn't lock the doors. It is usually, from that you would presume, is quite a safe area.
I place my hand on Holland's shoulder and I said, "They're safe. I think that was the last."
I'm gonna do a sweep, just in case.
Do you want me to come with you?
I I got it. And he's going to light up his mace and start going down, like behind the houses, checking in shrubs and stuff, just meticulously working his way around.
Uh-huh.
He's not chancing it again.
Roll an investigation check.
Don't mind if I do. Wherever it may be. 13.
So you bring your light around, like, sort of all the, like, alongside the walls, those dry stone walls. You're sort of looking for, like, any indication that something might have either come in or walked in a different direction. Sort of the way that they may have infiltrated this little town, even though it's a very easy way to get in. You do a thorough sweep, and you notice that a lot of the people's stuff just in the gardens have been tampered with, and a lot of things have been, like, destroyed. As soon as you get to the market, everything's just upturned. The market stalls themselves are just crushed into smithereens. You can see that these redcaps have left a wake of destruction across this entire town. Thankfully, you don't notice any other spots of blood. You don't notice that anyone else must have been out at this time, other than Jack, who was packing away this market. Hence its destruction. You presume from the wake of the destruction and the drops of blood leading towards Jack's body that he was attacked at the market and tried to make his way to Flopsy's house, and that's probably what invited them to the house in the first place.
Anything that's not, like, completely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's sort of within the realm of being fixed by a mending cantrip, say.
Hey.
I mean, he's just doing a meticulous sweep anyway, so he'll, like... He's not worried about spending the extra time to just try and piece together, like, garden ornaments that have been, like, snapped in half and things like that.
Yeah. Depending on how long you take to do that, because obviously mending is 1 tear per 6 seconds, so depending on how long you take will then determine how much of this mess you can clean up.
What time is it roughly?
You believe it's about around about midnight.
Okay, he'll spend as long as he'll kind of probably lose track of time a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing what he needs to be done, like, methodically.
Okay.
Unless someone comes out and disrupts him, but otherwise he's just gonna work his way through the village, just fixing what he can.
Mm-hmm. So about an hour or two? How long are you actually going to spend to do that?
Yeah. An hour? Yeah, and he's going to do as much as he can, so if you think 2 hours is, like, as long as it'll take to do everything he could, then yeah, I'll do the full 2 hours.
I think with mending, for the marketplace itself, the full marketplace would be an hour on its own, and then everything else, like, garden furniture and things like that, would probably be another hour if you're going to go through everyone's sort of gardens and all that kind of thing. So yeah, 2 hours maximum is how long it takes to fix everything. Even
absolutely.
Even the things that have been splintered into dust, like, as you bring your sort of mace, you swirl it around, and everything sort of, like, gathers up, and all the little splinters sort of, like, click back into place along the planks and things like that. Then the bigger planks sort of come together, and you see the nails sort of slip back into place as the market's still a little bit sort of rickety still, but still solid and quite stable. Just obviously not as homemade and artisan as it would have been. Yeah. Archie, what are you doing while Holland does this for 2 hours?
Well, Archie's just sort of gonna wait for the woman to be done with the key before she sort of, and when she sees that she's sort of, like, redder.
When you turn to her, you see that she's just holding the air in front of her. The key's no longer at her eye anymore. She's got the key in her palm, as she's sort of, like, standing on her own above the skeletal corpse of Jack Lop, holding the air in front of her with her eyes closed and her head sort of tilted.
I sort of, like, take the key with my hand, and I sort of look at her, and I say, You know, I kind of thought I was alone too. I lost someone very close to me, and well, when I got this thing, I found she was always by my side. I think he's always going to be with you. You never need to worry.
She sort of sniffles and she nods her head in a way that she's understanding what you're saying. She believes it. You don't even need to roll for this because she's obviously seen with her very own eyes the way that Jack has been, with the ghost of Jack has been with her. She believes this, and she doesn't move her arms from this holding position, but as her head is tilted, like sort of her cheek is sort of pressed up a little bit and given a bit of like cheek flab, and she just says, "Thank you," as her eyes are still closed, but she does still stand there in the middle of the sort of road.
Is there like a particularly tall tree nearby? Maybe one on the top of a hill or something?
Yes, but it's a little bit out of town as there are sort of fields. Sort of there's like the houses and then there's like slight fields for like where the rabbit warrens themselves would extend out under like lumps of grass. But then beyond that there are the surrounding forests of thither.
How far out of town is it?
Not very far at all. It's just beyond the sort of boundary of the house, the sort of housing area.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like your back garden, which would have all of the like Teletubby Hill version of like, you know, beyond that back garden is like a threshold of tall forest trees, which you are very used to climbing.
Well, Archie's gonna climb up that, and she's not gonna sleep. She's gonna forego a long rest. Can she have the benefits of a short rest?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and she's going to spend sort of the rest of the night, like, guarding to see if anyone naughty-looking approaches.
Okay. Alright, you can roll a perception with advantage because of your height and the fact that you're a ranger, and it makes sense.
23.
Nice. Right, okay. So you set up your little camp up there. Holland, you do see in the distance on the horizon the sort of one of the really, really tall trees start to like sort of shake a little bit. And you see that Archie's sort of like monkey climbing her way up this massive giant tree. She flips herself onto a branch that overlooks the entire area, and you understand that she's keeping a watch over everyone. She sort of like looks very sort of cool and silhouetted by this moonlight as she watches over everyone. Clapperclaw, meanwhile, Holland, you'll still be mending things. Clapperclaw has been scrubbing the floor. Flopsy, you can hear this very methodical, like, shoo, shoo, shoo sound. And after a while, you sort of hear this tiny little tap. Very hollow sounding, like as though it's by something very big and dense, such as a claw.
Flopsy is gonna go over to the door and open it just a crack.
Hi there, Flopsy. I just want to let you know that there's a little bit of a. Would you want to step outside for a second, just because I want to tell you something?
Sure. Yes. I'll be right back, everyone. And I'm gonna walk outside.
As you sort of leave, you see Topsy has sort of pulled Bopsy up into his arms and laid him down in the bed. And he's sort of like got his little thumb in his mouth as he's like, sort of like he's like a little spoon, but like on the edge of the bed, far away from his mum and his sisters. You can see that he's having some thoughts on all by himself. But Topsy's just sort of knelt by the bed and starts stroking his head as you leave. As soon as you close the door behind you, Clapperclaw's like,
well, I cleaned up the mess that was left here. If you take a look, did I do a good job?
And you can see that it's sparkling. Like there's not a single ounce of anything laying anywhere.
But
this is fantastic. Thank you. You're very helpful.
Well, Archie and Holland have been gone for a little while, and I'm getting kind of worried, and it's because they heard a little scream outside, and I was a bit,
Where did they go? Where did they go? What direction? I'm already walking down the corridor.
They went up and out the front door. Shall I stay here and look after everybody with my claws?
Yes. You're doing a fabulous, fantastic job. if you stay outside the door, and if anything, not me, Holland, or Archie comes in, just don't let them in. That doesn't mean attack them if they look friendly, but just don't let them in just yet until we're back.
Okay.
I'll be back, and I walk off
You walk
to find
up
Holland
through.
or Archie.
Yeah, you walk up through the corridor. The door is closed, obviously, because Archie would have shut it behind her. But it's not locked because obviously no one's locked it from behind. So you open it up. You walk out into the street. And you see that there is a couple of people still looking through their windows at this skeletal body of Jack Lop on the ground, which is still there. Because this is about midway through Holland going around. He already left the sort of crime scene to go and go around mending things. Nobody dealt with the body, so that's still there. But the girl is not there. You just see this body lying in the street. You know it's Jack. And based on the clothes of the velvet waistcoat, the velvet coat, you see this for the first time. You're kind of on your own, as you do see out of the corner of your eye this sort of magical swirling of planks coming together, and further off in the distance, Archie up in the tree. You do see those things because the tree is moving as she's climbing up them, and this is around about that time that you come out.
Just as a side note, when I closed the door, you imply there's a lock on all of these doors. I'm going to use Mage Hand to lock it from the other side when I close the door.
Brilliant. Excellent.
And I'm going to carry on walking towards Jack's body. None of that will do anything. You said his body started to deteriorate very quickly.
Yeah.
How's the jacket looking on this deteriorated body? Kind of
very flat and floppy, but intact. It's just the body, the flesh, the fur. It's just bones and clothes.
He's going to carefully take the jacket off. Prestidigitate in the jacket to make it clean.
As you lift the jacket and the waistcoat as well, the bones sort of rattle through the hollow clothes and land on the cobblestone road beneath with a little clatter.
I wish there was something else I could do for you, Jack, but I'm a showman, not a gravedigger. I'm sure there's somewhere. I'm going to look around and see if there's anywhere more suitable to put his body. I'm not going to bury it because I'm not going to deny his wife the opportunity to do all that stuff, but somewhere less public. I can't think of an example of a place.
As well, in that case, you gather his bones up in his velvet jacket, and as you're sort of walking around for somewhere to find, you notice, obviously you get closer up to Holland, who's using the mace light to sort of help the mending along in the market.
Hello, I see you found something to busy yourself with.
They really did a number. Whole place was upturned.
They managed to get to old Jack. Was there anybody else, or was he the only one?
No, I think they went straight from Jack to your house.
Well, at least that's a little fortunate, I guess. He's going to pop Jack onto the stall that Holland has been repairing.
I tried to heal him, but it was too late.
Yes, I'm afraid anything I know how to do. Comes a bit late now as well. You saved a lot of people tonight, though, Holland. You and Archie both. And Clapperclaw. We stopped this happening to a lot of others.
Holland's just gonna go over to Flopsy and give him a hug and squeeze him really tight.
Flopsy's still gonna run his paw over the velvet jacket. I'm assuming the jacket is used as... Was Jack like the salesman of the market?
Yeah. You would probably know, like, I know it's like not been on stream, but like from your dad's conversations, we know he's like telling dad jokes and shit like that. You'd know that your dad is like a distributor, and Jack is like the salesman. Like he's the one who your dad admires because of his sales abilities.
He's also the one with the razzle dazzle jacket,
yeah,
as Flopsy would put it.
Mm-hmm.
And Flopsy just kind of has that out of body recognition of that this would be him, the Mint Mews, Flopsy.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate.
And then he squeezes Holland back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose we're not going to be much use to anyone tomorrow if we don't get some sleep. At least the good news is there's none of them around now. So we've made it safe for everybody else, but we've also made it safe for ourselves. If you'd like to come back.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow.
I'm not quite sure what we're going to get up to, but we have a lot to do. We can't sit around eating cupcakes all day, sadly. But we'll take some for the road. He kind of guides Holland back to the house.
And as you do, you sort of glance up to the tree. You see Archie sort of sat there with a leg up, with her arm resting on her knee, sort of hand on under her chin, just looking out, like scanning around like an eagle.
You can probably also see like bubbles floating through the sky.
Yeah, the bubbles sort of glow and glisten in the moonlight with this iridescent sort of like almost rainbow-esque thing as they grow bigger as they emerge from her eyes and fade up into the night sky. You make it back to the house.
If Archie were to look down at Flopsy, I'm not sure if they would share any eye contact or anything, but Flopsy's going to raise his hand and give a wave. I want to call it a regal wave. He doesn't have his top hat anymore, so he can't pull down the brim or anything like that. But he's going to give a sort of kingly wave, a recognition to Archie that she's doing what she needs to do. And he respects and is thankful for that. And then he uses Mage Hand to unlock the door and lead Holland in.
When you come back in, you shut the door behind you. Also, meanwhile, up at the tree, Archie, the Campestry sort of snuggled up to your side, and it's doing the snore me. As it sort of gets really snuggled up to you, nice and close. It sort of sits in the rook of your other arm, and sort of snuggles up to you. And as you come in, Flopsy and Holland, Clapperclaw's just standing there with his arms, like his hands on his waist, like sort of Peter Pan-esque. You just see this like absolute vision of this stag's fucking skull attached to this scarecrow's body with lobster claw hands, standing there with his hands on his hips. And he goes, is everything okay? I've been keeping good watch on everybody. And you can see that he's got a shitload of crumbs all over him as well. He has actually left his post for a second to grab some more cupcakes and stuff them in his face.
Holland's gonna just hold his arms out wide and sort of move towards him, offering a hug as well, but not like, like leaping on him.
And he's like, thanks for making me feel so safe, guys. But did you see me take that guy out, though? Maybe I could be a hero like you. guys one day.
You already are.
You think?
Yeah,
Oh,
certainly braver than me.
He stands tall and sort of like his claws move up his lapels as he pulls his shirt up a little, like flexing a bit. And he just does this, like, he like cracks his like jaw open and does this huge yawn. Lots of crumbs spill out of his mouth.
well, it's been a heck of a night. Well, do you guys want to sleep in Wopsy and Hopsy's room? And I could go and sleep in Bobsy's room.
Well, I could go and sleep in my room. If you two wanted to share Mopsy and Hopsy's room. Sorry, other names that I don't have open on my thing
Wopsy and
right now.
Hopsies, yeah.
Wopsy and Hopsy, that's the one. Thank you. I don't remember my own family.
All right. Oh, it's like a sleepover, Holland. Let's go.
He's gonna take your hand and like sort of skip his way into the room, and he just waves at Flopsy as you go into your own room.
Aw.
And yeah, you go in there, and he like jumps down onto the bed. He's gonna choose Hopsy's bed, the pink princess bed, and he's just gonna wiggle his little bum on there, and he's like, "Wow, this is real comfy." He notices that like it's very pristine and very well kept, but he just flings the quilts away and like lies like a like a starfish on the bed, and he's like,
Ah.
the other bed is obviously Wopsy's bed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Helen's gonna like sort of mirror the the actions and just flop down and just like be like, so in the morning, and then like yawns, and before he can even finish his sentence, he's just conked out.
Aw,
So tired.
you have a little snooze. Flopsy, you enter your childhood bedroom.
I'd probably want to check on my family before going to bed,
Okie dokie.
just to see if they're okay.
You sort of peer through the door. Are you gonna knock first, or are you just gonna sneak in?
I'll sneak in. Is there no noise coming through the door?
Roll a stealth
Of
just to
course.
see how well you can creak it open.
Because if they're asleep, I wouldn't want to wake them up. But
Mhm.
that's 13.
Okay. I'm just gonna do a round of reception checks. Wopsy, Hopsy, Bopsy,
Oh.
Mopsy, and Topsy gets a nat 20. As you sneak through the door, creak it open very, very quietly. It's almost silent. It's like you've got it right on the hinge where it's like perfect. You see that Mopsy is sort of got her arms around the girls, and she sort of like creaks open an eye to check it's you. And as soon as she notices that it's you, she allows her eyes to close again. But you notice that Topsy's sort of sitting in a chair in the corner. He's got like his cheek in his hand, like this leaning his head. And as soon as you open the door, he's literally, both of his ears pop upwards, just like who could that be? And again, as soon as he sees it's you, he actually steps towards the door very, very quietly. And he looks at you and he says, are you okay, son?
Everything's fine now, Dad. Is everyone in here okay?
He looks over at his sleeping family. Yes. Thank you. Would you like to... Well, when you were scared, when you were little, sometimes you'd come and sleep in the bed with me and would have a little cuddle. I'm just wondering if that's something you'd want to do nowadays. And he looks a bit embarrassed, but he just wants to hold you for this moment.
Dad, I have to say that I don't remember a lot about when I was younger, but I've learned a lot over the last day, and I met a hag the other week, and you are the strongest person I think I've ever met. I have seen you terrified, scared. You didn't know if I would come back, yet you told my mother every day that I would. And now, you know more than what the children know of what happened here. Things have come into the home, and all you're concerned with is whether I can sleep soundly.
Well, you are my dear son. I see you as the same as those. And he looks over at the three small children sleeping quite soundly. Bopsy's snoring because he got that nat one. Yeah, he looks back into your eyes and he says, I know a lot of time has passed, but for you, but for me, you're still my little baby.
You are still my dad.
Well, if you're too big for a cuddle off your dad, then that's...
No. My friends and I will have to leave in the morning. I've only just got here, so I can't leave, but after this I can't stay. But for this tonight, I can't see myself being anywhere else. I'm gonna come into the room and hug him.
He hugs you really close and he says, we could you see the bed they've got is massive. It's like, we could all, snuggle if you want. He really wants to just hold you through the night.
Flopsy's gonna do that, yeah.
Okay. He's sort of like Bopsy is totally zonked out. He's going to lift him up and sort of scoot him along the bed a little bit, considering he was right on the edge. He's going to scoot him in between Hopsy and himself. He gets in and there's space for you to be like a little spoon. And he's just going to put his arm around you as you sort of get in. And immediately you feel his entire body relax as soon as you get in. And you are in a little pile with all of your family. As you fall asleep. In the morning. Archie, you are sort of roused awake by the screeching of a cockerel, as it sort of
Well, Archie didn't sleep.
Jeez Louise, that's very Oh yeah. Well, no, I mean from your sort of this state of meditative staring and looking, and you sort of nearly drifted and opened your eyes again. This huge cockerel noise sort of just startles you into alertness, more alert than you've been throughout the entire night. It's around about 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and the sun is just cresting over the tops of the forest that surrounds this home area. You look down at its absolute pristine nature, considering Holland has gone around and fixed everything. It's almost like sort of Christmas morning, but with this deep sadness over it. Even though people who are none the wiser are getting up in the morning, they're going out, hanging the washing up, doing this stuff, getting the stuff ready for market. Kids are jumping out and they've all got the little school bags on and they're heading over to the little schoolhouse. And it's all very, early days Pinocchio. And you sort of creak your back as you sort of shuffle around in this tree. Excuse me. There has been no disturbances all night. You feel as though you are safe to come down if you want to. But yeah, it's almost like the day started anew. Not many people, and hardly any of the town, except for on Lavender Lane, where the incident happened. The rest of the town have no idea what happened. You do see, you've got a massive scan of the town itself. And you do see that some people are reluctantly coming outside from Lavender Lane. You can see that they start to whisper to each other. But yeah.
Well, yeah. Seeing no reason to sort of stay up here. Sort of make my way down. Bring Mimi, the little Campestre. And I sort of take a look through my ghost key. Did Glitterhoof wait at the bottom of the tree the entire night?
Glitterhoof. If you were to have, oh goodness gracious, I can't get this thing to repeat. If you would have looked occasionally, frequently through the ghost key, you would see that Glitterhoof has sort of feigned sleep at the base of this tree this entire night. Every now and then her head would sort of lift up and look around in the same way that you do, and when realising it's safe, she would put her head back down and sort of standing up asleep.
It's well cute. Well, I climb my way down with Mimi. I sort of like
Mimi yawns like,
Mimi.
You. It's all about you. I'd look at Glitterhoof through the ghost key, and I reach into my bag, and I don't pull out anything, and I say, a ghost apple from my ghost horse, and I pull my hand out for her to eat the ghost apple.
You see that she does this sort of like playful look at you, knowing that it's pretend, but she's gonna like her skin around her mouth, like a maw, is just gonna like pull upwards, and you see her teeth like extend outwards as though she's like biting this fake apple. And you see that she like bites her teeth like hang, but she knows there's nothing there. She sort of like rears her head a little and shakes her mane in glee.
I give her a ghost stroke. And then I hold her ghost reins and I lead her into the town.
As you sort of pass through a couple of kids that are on their way to school and stuff, they sort of look at you a bit weird because you've just got your hand out as you walk in, and they're like whispering to each other like,
"Can you see that? No, I can't see that. I wonder what it is."
And stuff, and they're just looking a bit weird as they go along. But yeah, where are you going to, Lavender Lane?
Yeah, I'm gonna go the mobster. I mean, Holland.
The closer that you get to Lavender Lane, the more you overhear sort of like gossipy sort of like people, neighbours and things, like there's like a Ned Flanders over someone's fence being like,
"Oh, did you see what was going on last night? Oh, that was weird, wasn't it?"
And they're sort of spreading it down Lavender Lane towards like Parsley Avenue and stuff like that, and you're like, oh gosh, maybe you don't want this to get out, but it's up to you, obviously, how you approach that whole gossiping line situation.
I sort of look at them and I say, "Have you got nothing better to do than gossip?"
One of them looks up and it's the Ned Flandersy one. He's got like spectacles on the end of his nose, and he pushes them up with like a sort of surprise look. He's like sort of brown fur, and he goes, "Oh no, no. Obviously, it's none of my business. Of course. I mean, just if there's something going on, yeah, we ought to know about it."
Well, I'll tell you what's going on. A good person died last night.
He looks
and
shocked.
somebody lost a loved one. So I think that you should go about this with a little bit of dignity.
Oh, that is terrible news. Roll a persuasion check.
Yep. Persuasion. 17.
He is so taken aback by this like directness of your sort of approach. You see he's like goes a bit like sort of red in his fur around his cheeks, and he's like, "Oh, of course. I'm sorry." He looks very embarrassed with himself for gossiping. And and he overhears someone else like trying to ask questions, and he's like, no, it's actually quite serious. And then he sort of buggers off down the street to sort of try and stop everyone else from talking about it too. And you eventually make your way down Lavender Lane to Flopsy's front door, which is barred from the inside.
Rat-a-tat-tat.
Guys, inside, everyone, you are roused by the sound of the girls like careening through the corridor, and they're like,
Well, I want to go in my room now. It's like, you can't go in your room. There's guests in there. But I want my doll.
and all this kind of stuff, and then the Mopsy comes out and she's like, no, girls, let's just go and get some breakfast for now, and leave the Flopsy's friends to have their rest. It's very much needed. And they're like, okay, fine. And they sort of like bounding through the hallways. Flopsy, Holland, and obviously Clapperclaw, you all hear this. It's very loud and abrasive, the voice of these girls. Obviously, Flopsy would have felt their bodies leave the bed. Your dad sort of like gets up as well after them, but he's like stretching and doing his like touching his toes and like all that kind of thing. You sort of look at him with a bit of sort of sadness as he doesn't realise Jack's dead. But Bopsy still stays like snoring with his mouth wide open in the bed. Who wants it, Flopsy or Holland?
I don't mind.
All right.
I'll do mine quick.
Okay.
He'll just sort of, at that noise, he'll get up, so dust himself off. I don't know what's on him, but he just fixed it. His clothes got crumpled up, whatever.
Well, you were in Wopsy's bed, so Wopsy's bed's a bit of fucking, it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit dusty. Yeah.
Cupcake crumbs, just shake him off. And then he'll like sort of sneak over to Clapperclaw's bed and just go, even though I presume Clapperclaw also heard the noise, he'll just go, Bill!
Oh, I knew you were sneaking up on me. I could just feel it.
He just like rolls out of bed and like falls onto the ground a little and like picks himself up and shakes himself off. He does his own little stretching, and he's like sniffing up into the air, and he's like,
I think I can smell something cooking in that kitchen.
Well, best get going before all the good stuff's gone.
Alright.
Holland's going to pick up the dolls as well and bring them through with him, and just sort of pass them to the girls as he walks around the table.
Yeah.
Take his seat.
As you do, sort of, Hopsy like starts to like stroke the hair of the princess one, and she's like,
Oh, thank you. And do you want to play with me?
Okay.
Alright, she just starts moving a little doll on the table nearby, and she snatches Wopsy's doll away from Wopsy and gives it to you, and Wopsy's like, hey! And, but Wopsy sort of like shrugs because she's eating a porridge and she don't give a fuck. So yeah, you have Wopsy's doll, which is an elf, the elf doll. And yeah, she just sort of plays on the table with you. Clapperclaw sits down straight away and he's like spooning like the little wooden spoon of porridge into his mouth. It's getting everywhere all down him. And Flopsy, you are sort of your dad sort of like gives you a nod as he like very dadly gets dressed and dadly leaves the room. And you're left
before he leaves the room. Can I get his attention?
Sure.
I'm gonna get up and start doing dadly stretches as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whenever his arms or legs crack, mine do too.
No.
You just hear Flopsy grunting.
Yeah, you actually notice about this time that you're probably the same age.
You know, Dad, I know you often have to put on a happy face while some things are going sour around here. This looks like a beautiful town that you've got. But you can't deny that things are happening around here that are very strange and concerning. I just wanted to let you know you don't need to do that with Mum after this. I'm going to reassure Mum before I go that I'll be back.
Oh, so you will be returning?
There's no way that I wouldn't be. No. There's something else I need to say to you, and it's not easy.
He sort of looks over at Bopsy, who's literally like salivating out of his mouth and snoring still. He kind of like squints his eyes and nods. He's like, yeah, he's not going to hear this. Okay. Did something happen?
You're going to need somebody new to run the stand down in the marketplace.
Oh,
Unfortunately, they got to someone before they came to here.
He stops. He's like mid-stretch. He's like got his arm through his jacket and he's just completely, like, his eyes glaze over. And this feeling of understanding flows over him. And he sort of drops his shoulders. He's just a bit sort of like, oh, of course. Of course. I mean, they weren't going to be 0 casualties. He doesn't really know what to say, and he says, "Well, thank you for telling me, but I think I have to take a minute." He like leaves the room quite abruptly, and you just hear his like dadly footsteps going through the corridor. As you sort of watch through the door, he turns left up and as if to go outside. And you hear the door slam behind him. Not the response you might have wanted, but he's had to take this time for himself.
Yeah. With Bopsy still asleep, Flopsy can't really talk to him, but he's gonna go and put the magenta beanie on Bopsy.
No, bowler hat.
Bowler hat, yeah, whatever it was. I guess
it's like over his face whilst he's asleep, but not over his mouth. Yeah, just like
I'll put it on his chest so that he can hold it with his hands while he's asleep. And I'm going to leave that with him, so that'll give him advantage on selling and bartering.
Aww.
If he was to go on to that. Aww. And I'm going to go on breakfast.
All right. Yeah, you sort of drop it down on him like a tilted fedora, but on his chest. And you leave the room. Do you leave the door open a bit, or do you just shut it behind you?
I'll leave the door open for Bopsy to get back out when he's awake.
You sort of wander into the living room area where the dining table is still set up from the previous night. And your mum is so busy in the kitchen. Not only is she like handing out all this porridge, which Clapperclaw just wants more of constantly. You can actually see there's a tiny slight amount of like bit of stress on her for the first time this whole visit. Especially because Clapperclaw is being quite demanding about the food, but not in a rude way. Just like she's trying to keep up with the demand, but also wanting to, because she wants to keep everybody sort of happy and distracted. She's very obviously a little bit stressed over her. And you wander in there, and as soon as you sort of greeting everybody, and sort of Wopsy and Hopsy are none the wiser. They do believe what you said about the person wanting to come from the market. They're just playing with Holland. Clapperclaw's eating, and that's when you hear a knock at the door. Archie, you wouldn't have seen Topsy leave because that would have been when you were talking to the Ned Flanders guy. Yeah. When you knock on the door, the door isn't actually barred. It's been unlocked by Topsy, but you don't know that, so you would have presumed that.
Still the polite thing to do.
It is. And Flopsy, Holland, etc., everybody, you hear the knock at the door. Mopsy looks a bit concerned at that knock, as anyone would be quite skittish after what happened. But she actually believed you.
Don't worry,
Yeah, she believed you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she believed you, so she's just a little bit like concerned as to who could be so, adamant about ordering something. You know what I mean? So she's like getting flustered in a way that's like, God, why are we getting harassed? In other words.
Everybody just stay calm. I'll go and see who it is. And I'll go up and answer the door.
As soon as you sort of look through the corridor, as it like raises up to the exterior facade, you see through the glass itself that you can see it's Archie's silhouette.
Archie pulls a funny face.
Good morning. It's great to see you again.
What? What? Can you open the door? I can't really hear you.
Oh, I'll open the door. I said good morning. It's great to see you again.
Oh, thanks. Well, it's nice to see you too. Is Holland okay?
Everyone is perfectly fine in here. Yes. Thanks to you. Thank you for keeping a watch on us. We're having porridge if you'd like some.
Porridge?
Me.
Says the Mimi.
You like porridge?
Me.
Well, I mean, I suppose if you make it, properly. What's it made with?
Well, I think it's made with oats typically, but we have a load of toppings in there. Some people like it with salt, which confuses me, but
I
you
like
can
it
add-
with salt.
Hmm.
It gives it like a sort of sour sting to it.
Oh, well, I'll keep the sugar bowl next to me, and I'll make sure that the salt bowl is next to you.
You have a sugar bowl and a salt bowl next to each other? Are they labeled?
It could get confusing, but us Harengon have very good eyes for these things.
Oh, well, I'm practically blind. You see, Archie just sort of yawn and she sort of rubs her eyes. Well, I mean, I'm blind today anyway.
Did you get any sleep out there, Archie? Were you watching us the whole night?
Well, someone had to. Oh, but it's fine. I mean, I'll get some sleep tomorrow. Oh, well,
Okay, well, if anything happens and anyone needs to stand watch, my promise to you, I will do that. You will be the first one to sleep.
Don't worry, Flopsy. I'll make sure it doesn't come to that.
I'll lead you down into the dining area. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, you get down there and obviously you see Holland and the two... Holland and Hopsy playing. Wopsy is just sort of like scranning porridge along with Clapperclaw. And Mopsy is looking pretty stressed out, but you can't see Topsy anywhere, Archie. Yeah, you come into the living room / dining room.
Archie gets a bowl of porridge and puts what would look like to you, Flopsy, too much salt. To be honest, it looks like this is way too much salt to anyone, even to someone who likes salt. But Archie pours that much salt on. She gets a spoon. She takes a bite, and then she cringes because she's put too much salt in. And she says, "Oh no, that's too much salt."
Flopsy just slides the sugar bowl over. It might take a while, but with the amount you put in, probably this much to balance it. And he puts a bit of sugar in to balance the salt.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Archie has a look, just you can see that this is the weirdest meal that she's ever had.
I actually know that wouldn't balance it, but I have no other suggestions. So just imagine Flopsy does some culinary skill that'll balance it out without having to scoop an entire pot of porridge in there to offset the salt. He does some magical shit to me. If I have prestidigitation, fuck it, I put a spoonful of sugar in and it tastes amazing.
Oh, sugar, salt, and all things nice. Whatever.
As you obviously you've come in fresh from the outside. You've got the smell of fresh air on you. Sort of Mopsy comes over to you, Archie, and gives you a little bit of a sniff, and says, "You didn't stay here last night, did you? Where did you go?" She looks concerned.
Oh, I just, climbed a tree, had a look around.
No, what's ever for?
Well, just to make sure that nobody came and snuck up or anything.
She looks confused and looks confused at Flopsy. Flopsy, roll a deception check for your facial expression here, because she's she's starting to catch on a little bit if she rolls this insight. Oh, nice. So she's going to look again at Archie and say, "Oh, is that something you do often?"
I'm just cautious, you know. And I look like I'm about to give her a wink, and then I just my eyes blink. I'm not able to do that.
How very protective of you. That's it's rather impressive. Oh, well, this town would be certainly safer with someone like you around quite a lot. She gives you like a little smile, and sort of like looks around and she says, "Oh, where did your father get off to?" To Flopsy.
I think he's gone off into the town to go to the market and just put some things in order over there.
Oh, she just, with your nat 20 deception, she just takes that and turns back into the kitchen, like none the wiser. She has started to brew a pot of tea. She's sort of just like clattering around in there, just like completely innocently. She's believing everything that you're saying.
I'll kind of look over to Archie. I think I'm sat near Archie. I didn't actually say where I've sat down, so I'll sit here to Archie. How do you go about ruining somebody's day when they seem to be having a rather pleasant morning?
You shouted them. I'm sorry, Flopsy. I didn't mean to shout at you yesterday.
No. That's water under the bridge. That's nothing. No. You've done more for me than. No, it's fine. It's nothing. I didn't even think of that. I mean, everything here should be so perfect. You shouldn't have had to have waited up all night. I almost don't want to let them know that it's not perfect. Does that make sense?
Well, I know what you mean, but well, think of it this way. And I'm going to use a metaphor. You seem like the kind of person who likes metaphors. Let's say that you have and Archie picks up the bowl of sugar. A bowl of sugar, right? It's really nice. And then you get some salt by accident and you pour it in, and Archie pours it in, and then it realizes that she's just poured salt into the sugar. Oh, God. Well, but let's say you have salt in the sugar, right? And someone's going to get a bowl of that. I'm sorry, Flopsy. But someone's going to get a bowl of that, and it's not going to be all too nice. So you ask, well, let me ask you this question. Is it better to pretend like there's no salt in the sugar because someone might fret and have to buy some more sugar now? Or is it better to tell someone that there's salt in the sugar so that they know and that they can do things to take the salt out of the sugar? What do you think the better thing to do is?
Well, first of all, I think that's a rather charming metaphor. It does make a lot of sense. I would tell them, because I'm going to take the bowl of sugar away from Archie as if, like, don't touch that anymore. Well, with this, we can certainly make a nice salted caramel, but you wouldn't like to have it in your cup of tea. So if someone were to be told, they would be able to do the right thing. And if they didn't know, they would probably have a bad time.
Now let's say there was some fiend who was putting salt into the sugar every day. Or maybe not every day, but he did it once, maybe he'll do it again. Do you warn people about this sugar fiend and then they always worry that they'll have a bit of salt in their sugar, or do you not tell them, and then when he goes to put sugar in their salt next time, they have a salty sugar.
Hmm.
I mean, surely it's better for them not to worry, right?
Well, I always do think that worrying doesn't really do anything at all, so where there's a chance to put a smile on, you should always try that rather than fretting.
Yeah, but sometimes... Well, is it better to put a smile on someone's face when they're frowning? Or is it better to just stop them from frowning at all?
Well, I would say that if there's a fiend going round with a salt shaker next to sugar bowls, not everyone's well equipped to stop such a haphazard man, but
Or woman.
there are some people out there, or woman, or anyone, any person.
Flopsy. I know who the salt fiend is. And
Are you able to stop them?
I take a bowl of salt and I throw it behind my back like you do to superstition stuff. And I say,
Blame the devil, yeah.
And I lean in close to Flopsy. I lift his floppy ear up and I whisper, "It's me. I'm the salt fiend." And I'll do it again.
Well, you know one way to stop a salt fiend?
Assault.
Oh, no. It's to,
Is it to shake
well,
them?
actually... I'm not gonna get away with this with your perception. It's to, well, I'm gonna look into your eyes. It's not to do anything at all, actually. I'm sure that whoever would go around putting salt into people's sugar will get tired of their silly games eventually, and I'm going to try and sleight of hand swap any nearby, like, salt for sugar, so that you will do something with sugar rather than salt. For a 24?
I got to try and beat 24.
You've got good perception, so...
29.
Damn!
Oh, wow.
I do see it.
So you can go about spreading your sourness if you'd like. I'll just see how far it gets you.
Oh, that sounds like an excellent plan. Flopsy! And I pull out a bread knife from the table. and I point it at you. And I say, and I pick up a spoon. And I pour it in. What Archie must think is the salt bowl. I know it, so I put it in the sugar bowl. I'm gonna make you eat this salt.
Flopsy's gonna stand up and take a step back and just kind of narrow his eyes.
Open wide,
You
Flopsy, or I'll stab ya.
Now I know you're quite tired. I would hate to see you try and stab me with the knife and miss wildly. Maybe I would have to do something to, take the salt right out of your hand.
But there's something about me that you don't know. It's that I never miss.
Upon seeing this, Wopsy is going to take a little butter knife and she's going to hold it up and she's going to go,
Hopsy, if you don't give me my elf toy back, I'm going to stab you with this butter knife.
and she looks over at Archie thinking she's cool.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Wopsy, don't do that.
Hopsy's like,
What? Mummy! Hopsy said she's going to stab me with the butter knife!
and Mopsy comes in and she's like, what's going on in here? And she sees the fucking red knife in your hand. And she sees the butter knife.
Her perspective, she sees Flopsy back to the corner. Flopsy's turned around, seeing her. She's got a spoon full of sugar, but maybe it's salt in one hand, and then a knife in the other.
Hopsy's like jumped off a table already. She's hid behind Holland. And Wopsy's just like smiling like an evil little smile. She gets down off her table and she's like, she also spoons out and she's gonna go for it. I'm gonna roll just a D2. 1 is salt and 2 is sugar. She spoons up the salt and she's like,
Hopsy, you've got to eat this or else I will stab you.
and as soon as she says stab, Mopsy's just like, what's going on in here? She drops all of the stuff that she's got in her hands onto the table, and she starts rushing over to Wopsy, grabs the butter knife out of her hand, and you see this stern look come across her face, and she's like, whatever do you think you're doing? And Wopsy's like shitting herself, and Mopsy's still got hold of her hand. Wopsy looks over and points towards Archie. Go on.
Yeah, no. Sorry, Wopsy. We were gonna do it at the end, but me and Flopsy were just doing the play. I was being the bad guy again, and Flopsy was being the good guy who takes the spoon out of my hand
And
puts it in my
makes
mouth.
you to eat it. Yes, that's see, we already had it worked out.
Okay, Archie, roll a deception with advantage from Flopsy's help.
Okay. 20, not natural 20.
Oh, fucking jeez. Alright, okay, this is Wopsy, and Mopsy. Mopsy looks sternly at Wopsy, and she says, you can't just go around copying people. These people have given us a performance before, and you should be well aware of that. It is not real. And Wopsy shits, like she like drops everything. She's like,
Okay, Mum, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
and she's like, say sorry to your sister now. Hopsy is holding on to Holland's back, like shitting. And Wopsy sort of like tilts her head to the side, and she's like,
I'm sorry, Hopsy, I didn't mean to threaten you with a butter knife.
Hopsy is a bit nervous, and sort of looks at Holland to sort of get a bit of reassurance.
Oh, hey, it's okay. I think she really is sorry. And besides, it doesn't matter what anyone's holding up to you as long as you're well protected. And he's gonna like hand her his shield, which is obviously like massive to her.
Ooh.
But he's like, here, have a go with this.
As soon as you put it
See
into
how
her
well protected
hands,
you are.
as soon as you put it into her hands, she holds it with 2 hands, and the base of it, like the pointed base, like cracks into the ground as she drops, like she's holding
He'll
it still.
like keep hold of the top.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it like lowers down, but you grab it in your sort of little muscular sort of teenager arms are like holding on.
It seems like really lightweight to her, but it's actually just Holland keeping it propped up.
Yeah, she like holds it up against Wopsy, and she's like,
Yeah, that's right. If you come anywhere near me, I am protected by...
and she looks at the shield, and what's on it?
It's the front is the symbol of Lyra and the Lyra colours, and written on the side that's facing her is the exult in life and find joy in all things, carved across where the sort of arm grips would be.
Yeah, she squints her eyes at that, and she says,
Yeah, come at me. I'm protected by the power of joy.
and she holds it up as much as she can. You can feel it rise in your hand, and you lift it for her as she sort of lifts it up to her. Mopsy just sort of like sticks her tongue out like nah at her, and Mopsy again looks sternly down at her, and she's like, that doesn't seem like a very sincere apology, does it? And she sort of smirks a little bit. She looks over she comes over to Archie and Flopsy, and she says, sorry about that. She's very impressionable. But if you're going to do things like this, can you make it absolutely certain that it's a performance and not something that, is usual amongst older people
yeah.
like yourselves.
Certainly, yes. Sorry for the misjudgment. We could just skip to the ending, couldn't we, Archie, and get it over and done with?
Yeah.
I'm going to point to the spoon.
Everyone, listen up now. And before we do this, I'm going to tell you that the moral of the story is that there is righteous punishment for those who are wicked and evil. Bavalorna Brightstraw, Endlin Moongrave, Scabatha Nightshade.
Upon saying Scabatha, Wopsy's attention is immediately drawn to you, and she sits down ready to see what you're going to do.
Okay, so if it wasn't clear, obviously I'm playing Scabatha Nightshade, and then I do like an ugly face.
Wopsy laughs. Hopsy's too busy like playing with the shield and like bashing it against Holland, just to try and like push against it. But yeah, she's not really watching you, but Wopsy is. Mopsy's gone back into the kitchen. She's kind of keeping an eye on what you're doing though, just to make sure it's not too inappropriate for children. But yeah, you've got the floor.
So let's get back into the scene. Will of the Feywild, I'm gonna make you eat this salt. You're Will of the Feywild, by the way.
Okay. I don't know how he speaks, but oh, no, you're not. I will get you, you dastardly, haggy, ugly thing.
This is like the opposite accent to what Will of the Feywild actually is, Archie. I'm not going to do the accent because I will wait until he has actually revealed. But he does not sound like that at all.
Archie slightly recoils with that and just sort of raises an eyebrow.
Mm-hmm.
You sound very different, Will of the Feywild. But what is this that you are going to do to stop me from getting you?
Well, I was about to do your own voice back to you then. What does Will speak like? Like a slug, I shall defeat you with... grabs the spoon that's in your hand and starts directing it towards your mouth.
Oh, not the salt!
Just like the vermin you are!
Oh no, I'm so slug-like. I could turn into dust or whatever.
Ahaha! Gonna push it towards Archie's mouth and see if Archie's actually gonna like eat it. Like Flopsy's just kind of testing out whether Archie's gonna do this.
Right, so Archie, knowing that you're fully under the impression that this is a spoon of salt, she bites down on the salt. She sort of, like, it tastes like sugar, so it's lovely and sweet. She sort of licks her lips and goes, Now, back into character. Oh, it's so horrible, salt! I'm melting! I'm melting! And Archie sort of goes to the floor and then puts the invisibility cape over her to sort of disappear.
Now do the moral, Flopsy.
Flopsy will put his leg up on the nearest chair and like put his arm in the air. And just like that, good prevails over evil. There's no such sense in being miserable and disgusting to other people, because you'll just end up like a rotten old slug on the floor. Is that the moral of the story?
I take my hood off and I say, and I'm Archie now, again, obviously.
My co-star, everybody.
Let's take it, and this isn't really Will of the Feywild, it's just Flopsy, obviously.
I know I was quite convincing, but yes, it's me.
Wopsy has been watching this whole thing with just absolute amazement. She stands up on a chair and she's like sort of like wiggling a little bit, like smacking her hands together, like woo woo woohoo. And she's like, I want to be just like Will of the Feywild and you, and points right at Archie. But not as Scabatha, but as you. And she's just like clapping and cheering. And she says, and that's exactly what I thought Scabatha would sound like as well. But maybe not Will of the Feywild.
Everybody's a critic.
Well, Flopsy's never met Will of the Feywild. And I've never met Scabatha, but Will does a pretty good impression of her. You should see Will of the Feywild's when you're older. Well, I mean, that's kind of a catch-22. When you're older, you probably shouldn't go and see him. But also, you're too young as well.
Well, when I'm 10 or 11, I'm gonna go and run away to Will of the Feywild.
And from the kitchen you just hear, "No, you won't." As she's like sort of comes in with her own porridge and sits down and like gives a little bit of a sigh. And at that, you hear the door go, and you hear sort of the dadly footsteps sort of coming back down through the corridor, and Topsy sort of makes his appearance into the room. You see that his eyes are red from crying, and he has this sort of wibbly wobbly bottom lip as he sort of walks into the room. He's sort of taking his own hat off, even though he would have put it on before he left. It's sort of just dangling in his hand as he walks into the room. He sort of like scans over his family as his like little Wopsy is standing on the chair cheering, and Hopsy is sort of like playing with Holland, and Clapperclaw's just scanning everything in sight. Mopsy's obviously sat down for a nice rest to eat her own breakfast, and obviously Flopsy and Archie are having a great time. And he sort of like scans across everyone and takes this little breath that's sort of like a little like shaken breath. And everyone's sort of in slow motion for him. Like, no one seems to have noticed his plight, and no one seems to have really... I mean, like, player-wise, you guys probably would have, but everyone else is sort of in this slow motion, joyful scenario where it's all perfect again. And he's the only one, apart from Flopsy and Archie and Holland, who knows that maybe it's not always going to be like this. And he takes a seat at the head of the table, looks over, and gives a very weak smile to his wife. He sort of puts his hand on Hopsy's head as she's belting around the room with this very heavy shield, as Holland's trying to keep up to like hold it up. He just like gives this little like sort of smile, laugh at her, and he takes his little spoon in his hand and slowly spoons it into the big cauldron of porridge and slops some into his bowl and stares down into it and gives a bit of a sigh. Flopsy, you notice your mother sort of eyes squint towards him. She gives him a tilt of the head which seems to ask non-verbally, "Is everything okay?" Whilst he's smiling, he has this little tear in his eye. He shakes his head, solemnly, as if to say, no, something's not okay. Mopsy immediately looks to you, Flopsy, and to Archie, and to Holland. Not just Clapperclaw. Clapperclaw's fucking irrelevant right now. And this feeling of understanding washes over her too. This feeling that no matter what happens, you guys will keep her family safe, not only from the dangers of the outside world, but from, at this moment, right now, for things that aren't necessarily appropriate for them to understand, that you'll keep them safe from that knowledge. And at that moment, Bopsy walks in, very solemn. He yawns. He sits down next to his dad. He takes his little bowl. He spoons out his little porridge, flops it into his bowl, looks over at his mum, and they share this knowing glance. And at that moment, you notice on Mopsy's face that she knows that Bopsy knows that something's not quite right. She says to the kids, "I think it's about time that you did your chores, don't you?" She takes a deep breath. She knows something terrible has happened at this change of tone. Everyone's like, no, come on, and like Hopsy is really, really wanting to play with Holland to a point where she's like grabbed onto his leg, like dropped the shield. She doesn't care about that anymore. She just wants to hug him and sort of like be around him. And Bopsy sort of stands up, looks around, and he says,
No, come on, girls, let's just do what she says.
He scrams his porridge really quickly, swallows it all down, and starts collecting everything up. The two girls look a bit confused as to be like, you know, usually he does do his chores, but he's never told them to. And they quietly sort of move away. Wopsy sort of smiles at Archie as she goes, like, yeah, look at me, I'm gonna do my chores. Fucking, how cool am I?
Heroes always do their chores.
And they all sort of like rush off into the kitchen. You sort of left alone at the table, all of you, with Clapperclaw's actually going to join in with the cleaning up because he is a child after all. I know Holland is too, but like Clapperclaw's a younger child, so he's just going to bound around and sort of entertain them in the kitchen whilst that happens. You're left alone with the adults, with Topsy and Mopsy. Mopsy sort of comes over to the kitchen and she sort of closes some curtains that sort of split the room. And she says, now when I come back, everything better be spick and span. And she shuts the curtains. They're quite heavy, and you think that hushed tones and their loud, obnoxious voices, along with Bopsy's direction, you feel like they wouldn't hear a conversation. And she turns to everyone and says, so what happened? Topsy holds his breath a little, he can't really speak. He looks over at Flopsy.
I don't know what they were, or who they are, or what they wanted, but there were some people who came through the town last night. They weren't friendly.
Her grip sort of tightens on her sort of like apron knees as she's very nervous.
It seems that, at least to me, from what I could see in their eyes, they just wanted to hurt people.
I know what they are. They're called Red Cats. And whenever Scabatha gets mad, she, I don't know, I guess shits a few of them out. Obviously, metaphorically speaking. And, well, they just, I don't know, they don't have compassion, they don't have kindness, they don't have brains, I guess. They just go out and do whatever the wrong thing is. They hurt people and they break things and they, well, you saw what happened, I guess.
Topsy sort of shakes his head, and Mopsy's like, What happened?
Well, we stopped them from doing anything further once we had seen them. That's what we do, isn't it, guys? Me and my friends, we stop bad people from doing bad things, but unfortunately we found them a little late last night.
So
Jack Rabbit.
Yeah, Flopsy kind of trails off and looks to Archie.
No, not Jack. She looks over at Topsy straight away. Topsy lowers his head. He's sort of got his hands clasped in front of him as though he's praying. And there's no evidence in this household that they were in any way religious, but he's just having this little moment of sort of quiet. He's already had his cry. No, not Jack, says Mopsy. She sort of glances around at everyone's somber faces. I've never heard of anything like that coming to Mews. Does this happen often in the rest of Thither? She looks very concerned.
Would Archie know if it happens so often?
Archie would know that they never usually get as far as the Wayward Pool, because Will of the Feywild usually dispatches of these pretty well. You, upon that, it dawns on you that perhaps something might have happened to Will, or that the Getaway Gang were unable to control this this particular faction of Redcaps, but they never usually get as far as the Wayward Pool.
Well, I mean, normally they might get about as far as the Wayward Pool, but the Getaway Gang makes quick work of them. So why didn't... I hope Will's alright.
Oh. It seems that there's worse things happening. She looks at Flopsy and very sincerely says, are we going to be okay?
I'm going to make sure of it. You know, I can't stay right now. This is what we are here to do. We've made other places safer. Right, guys? Agden, he's got a smile on now. I'm sure we can do the same to Thither. We're going to make everything better again. But it does mean that we have work to do. And it means that I'm not going to be able to stay here for much longer.
She nods graciously, that understanding. And Holland, as you're sort of sitting at the end of the table where Topsy is, you hear him sort of under his breath saying, "Please let the light that Mews usually has stay." He's like not finding the words at all, like he doesn't know what to say in order to sort of bring upon some sort of hope or wish or some sort of plea to a higher being in order to protect his town. He's trying to find the words, and the only thing he's holding on to is the sunny disposition that Mews usually has, the light.
Mm. Oh, Holland smells at that.
And he like opens his eyes again. And he says, I've never usually pleaded to anything ever really, and we've always been quite safe here. Is there any, I don't know, any way to protect our home and the people that live in Mews?
Well, we are going to be going quite far afield.
Yes, I mean,
but
that's why, whilst you're away, I understand that you have to dispatch of this terror, and I'm sure you've got other things to do as well, and I just want to know that when you leave, well, we've got something, at least. With a long silence, he starts to look a bit more and more scared.
Archie sighs. You're farmers, right? Do you have pitchforks?
With that suggestion, he becomes even more scared. I couldn't possibly bring myself to, well, use something like that. And Mopsy again becomes even quite frightened. You don't. This is Mopsy. You don't honestly think that
we're going to have to arm ourselves. Do you?
No, you won't have to. No, nothing will make it as far down here again. We're going to find Will of the Feywild, aren't we, Archie? Who stops them from coming this far? And
What if something has happened?
well, then we.
The salt's
We
already
stop-
in the sugar, and they already know it. Time to get bitter.
We stop them ourselves.
And what if we don't? And you can see that Archie, like, although obviously she's suggesting that they arm themselves, like, there are tears sort of welling in her eyes. She doesn't like that she has to suggest that.
Mm-hmm. Mopsy sort of stands up and walks over to Topsy and sort of holds his head in her arms and strokes his long ears down the back of his head. And it's like she's trying to comfort him, but her face is full of fear as she looks around at the rest of you. Maybe you can bring us hope. I hope so much. That we'll be safe. Maybe we should leave. But where would we go? And she seems lost for words again, Topsy sort of holding onto her arm as she's wrapped it around him.
I think this is the safest place that you can be. I mean, they'd have to travel pretty far to get here. I think if you moved further inwards, you'd be at more risk. Best to stay here. Maybe build a big fence around, just for the time being, and take it down when everything's safe.
With that, they sort of hold each other, and the sort of scene of you all sitting at the table becomes very sort of filled with this tension, this fear, this sadness, and this uncertainty. And that's where we're going to leave tonight's session. Alright.
Well, Nat Wannabes, thank you for watching this episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because all these episodes are going to be on YouTube.
What a jarring end to that.
If you were affected by any of the things raised in this episode,
Get over it.
Hey.
get over it. Stop being such a whiny little bitch.
Grow up.
Aww. Alright, okay. Thank you for listening, everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna get the last episode on soon, and then this one will be up next Wednesday, hopefully, if I can keep to my schedule, which obviously I have been failing to do, but yeah.
And if you're hearing this description on YouTube, it means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's already there.
Maybe we should cut this bit out, but we're not going to.
No, we're not going to. Fuck that.
Because then how would they hear the Easter egg at the end that Peach is gonna shout out?
Yeah, the Easter egg.
Yeah.
Easter egg. And,
For sticking all the way through to the ending.
The after credits Easter egg.
And of course, that Easter egg this time is wibbly wobbly.
And with that, I will end the stream. Good night, everyone.